By the way, Natasha, you posted an Instagram story. And at the very bottom, I saw this. It writes, very small, I'm about to make roasting men my whole personality. JK, parentheses, JK, it already was. Natasha, I'm a little disappointed.
You didn't like it?
I'm waiting for more of the roasting.
There wasn't much to roast.
Really? There wasn't?
It's not like...
Close into the mic.
Like roasting in terms of like banter, but I feel like where we started, it wasn't banter. It was just crossing a line, so I wasn't going to engage.
Wait, what was the line crossing?
Earlier. We don't need to revisit it.
What?
We've gotten better as time has gone on.
What line was crossed?
I said it multiple times. I'm not going to revisit it.
You
like you
you're
said
stonewalling, bro.
Like you
You're
said that you
stonewalling, bro.
wouldn't appreciate if somebody talked bad about your father, but you made a comment about my mother, and that was it for me. You did.
What did I say?
I'm not going to repeat it.
I didn't
It was rude.
I didn't insult your mother.
You did.
How did I do it?
I'm not going to repeat it. I just said that, which is
you
fine. We
asserted
moved past
you
it.
made the claim.
Do you think you crossed a boundary that she set multiple times of wanting to end the conversation?
5 times specifically.
Hold on. So I come on a podcast and where there's going to be an expectation that you're going to have conversations like...
Right, but it doesn't mean it's a
not
free-for-all, everything's on the table.
me being the host of the podcast and continuing a conversation. Like if every girl here was like, you could literally hijack my podcast and just say, I don't want to talk about that, to every single thing. Would it be crossing a boundary if I was like, no, fuck you. You came on this podcast. I want to talk about this. Is that crossing a boundary?
There was an instance where you crossed...
Allowed to say we want to change the subject?
Jill.
How is it a boundary? It's not...
You crossed a boundary with Jill, too. She said she didn't want to talk about body count and things like that with her sexual past multiple
times. Hold on. I think exploring the reasons why isn't crossing a boundary.
Right, but it is once you get to a certain point where she says she's uncomfortable a couple times and has
so
made
shifting
it
the
clear
question.
That's the
Hold
boundary.
on. So trying to ask like a different question that's perhaps walked back a little bit to try to like actually flesh out the conversation at hand is not crossing a boundary.
I guess our consideration of boundaries is different. If she explicitly said something,
well, I have a boundary that I don't like.
Okay, but are you going to let me finish or are you going to let me answer?
Go ahead.
She expressed I'm sorry to use you, but this is just my opinion from the outside, is that she had said multiple times something specific bothered her and you kept asking her about it in the same way that when I said something specifically bothered me. And we could talk about all the things leading up to it, but there was a point where I said, this bothers me and this is my boundary. And you then asked me 5 more times about it. That's a boundary. That's just, people have boundaries. You might disagree with my boundary, but it doesn't mean that it's not my boundary.
I have a boundary about people stonewalling on my podcast. You crossed my boundary multiple times. So now do I have the right to feel aggrieved because you crossed one of my boundaries?
Yeah, of course.
Who's to say...
if I'm asking a question,
if I'm on a podcast
so and
I'm asking a question, my boundary is that I want people to like in good faith engage in the conversation and not stonewall. That's my boundary. So are you aggrieving me or am I aggrieving you?
Which I did for the rest of the time, but I said explicitly one thing was a boundary and I said it explicitly in the moment and you still pushed it. You never once told me something bothered you and was your boundary or I would have stopped.
We were, if I recall, we were having a discussion about, you just literally stonewalled because when it came to, I think it was the conversation about World War II.
No, that
and
wasn't
you
even
know
what
I
was
literally
talking
checkmated you and I was like, you said, and then you fucking gaslit and said, oh, I didn't say that. You literally said when we were talking about male grievances, you said, we brought up World War I, World War II. And then you said, oh, but that was a long time ago, ergo, it doesn't matter. And then I was like, okay, well then slavery happened a long time ago. Does it not matter? And then you knew I checkmated you. And then you created this boundary to try to be evasive and not admit that you made it.
What I was talking about. The thing with World War I, that was the beginning of my sentence, like I said, and the rest was what I was saying. But I wasn't even talking about that instance. I was talking about the first instance. That I didn't say like, this is a boundary and you've hurt me, you've upset me, you've whatever. That was from the first conversation. And then you still kept pushing. I didn't care about the trench foot thing.
But it's not,
disagreed.
okay, if we're having a conversation about, I think it all stemmed from possibly child support. We were talking about child support. and then like I'm trying to engage you in thoughts and ideas, and then and you gave an anecdotal, because I was talking in generalities, you immediately go to a personal anecdote. So when I try to like intellectually investigate your worldview and your personal anecdote, if you don't give me enough space to actually investigate it, then it just shuts down the entire conversation. You brought it up. I was trying to suss out the degree, like the nature of the conversation. I was trying to suss out the nature of your anecdote. And you're just like, well, I'm not going to give you like certain details. It's like, well, okay, then I don't have a full comprehensive understanding of your anecdotal experience.
I agree. And I had said that that was a boundary once we got deeper into that conversation. Because
And what did I do?
I just said, because you had said something that was insulting about my mother. So at that point, I was done with the conversation. And then you then asked me 5 more times.
I did not ask you 5 times.
Okay.
I maybe asked you different questions.
You pushed it 5 different times,
5,
asking
you
me about
counted?
the child support thing. And I had explicitly...
You brought up the anecdote.
Okay. Right, but I explicitly said it's a boundary. So if I'm
Then why did you bring it up? I'm sorry. You brought it up.
I had said there were 3 of us at this table that had a child support issue that negated what you said. So I said our personal experience does not reflect your opinion, which is fine. That's our experience. But then you were asking the personal comment about it. So I explained from there. But there is always a boundary with somebody about something that bothers them. So of course we could talk up until that point. But when I'm expressly telling you something bothers me and you're negating that because you don't agree with it, that doesn't mean it doesn't bother me. And that doesn't mean that it's not my boundary just because you don't respect it.
I would love to see the clip back, because while, to be charitable, I was investigating your worldview and I was asking you different questions related to your anecdote. However, I think you're being disingenuous to say that I asked you the same exact question 5 times. Hold on. You're trying to paint it like it was a super clear cut, like I asked you a question and then you made it as abundantly clear as possible that I don't want to talk about this. This is a boundary. What?
You did ask
multiple times. We all saw it. I mean, we all were
But I
sitting
didn't
there.
ask the same
I never
question.
said it.
There's
My
like,
verbatim was not, you asked me the same question on repeat. I said you pushed the issue several times.
because I'm exploring
I get
your
that's your job.
worldview.
I get that's your job. I get you're trying to get a reaction. I get you're trying
I'm
to
not
get
trying to get a reaction.
information. But if I'm explicitly telling you a boundary, just like anything in life, if someone is expressly telling you something bothers them, you don't get to determine it doesn't. That's me. That bothers me. If you told me talking about trench foot really bothered you, I would have stopped. We were having a
But now you're being completely disingenuous.
I'm not.
You're literally, yes, you're trying to say it's just about the trench foot though. We were talking
About World
broadly
War I,
about
whatever.
World War I and World War II.
We actually were talking about abortion and then it kind of got over there. But yes.
Well, that's where it went.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
I'm saying it's not comparable.
when I
because you
tested your
didn't
logic, you just shut down and you stonewalled.
No, okay. I'm saying once you hit a nerve and really said something that upset me about my mother, at that point I was not wanting to engage. I thought it was disrespectful. I said it was a boundary and you crossed it. So for a bit there, I was upset because I thought it was disrespectful. So I took a back seat. It just seemed argumentative and hyper-focused on me at that point. And then we got past it and we've had a pleasant conversation and disagreements and agreements throughout. But I'm saying what you said about my mother was a hard pass for me. Just like you said, if somebody said something to your dad or hurt your dad, it would be a hard pass for you. That's a boundary. Everybody has different boundaries. You don't have to agree with it. That was mine and I made it clear.
Yeah, except I didn't say anything about your mother. I was asking,
did.
I was asking clarifying questions. Asking a question isn't the same as, it's not the same as saying your mother is X. If I'm asking you a clarifying question about the scenarios surrounding that incident, that's not saying something about your mother.
You did though.
Can somebody, I don't know, what did I say?
From the conversation, from what I remember, we were having this conversation about this situation that you were in, and he was asking clarifying questions, saying, and then he said that there are cases out there where the women have said X and Y to the courts in order to get custody of the child. But he never actually said that your mother did that. But he said, we'll never know. I think that's how it ended.
And I
He
said,
"We'll
which
never
is
know."
implying that she did. And then he kept going with it. And so at that point, I'm not going to engage because that was what was implied. And I don't respect that. You don't have to agree. That's just my
Okay, how did
opinion.
I cross your boundary?
I don't necessarily think you did. I think we kind of got to the point where it was all the information was needed and we didn't need to go any further with that. I don't think that. I think I asked you maybe once or twice, but I don't feel like it was not respected.
Okay, I mean, look, I'm the host of the podcast. It's my job to get to the bottom of this stuff when it comes to dating, etc. These conversations. Sometimes we're having heated exchanges. Sometimes we're talking about serious subject matter. It's kind of my job as the host to like investigate those sorts of things. I mean, it is what it is, but whatever.
I wasn't upset.
Okay, that's cool. So I guess we'll go back to the notes then. I don't know exactly where we left off, but oh, right. It was your story. You said you wanted to roast men. So what do you mean by that? You're about to make roasting men your whole personality, but that already is your personality. What do you roast men about?
I said, when it's healthy banter, I think that's fun, which is what I think having a conversation is. Healthy banter and like roasting each other can be fun when you disagree. But like I said, at that point, it was not banter and it wasn't roasting. It was just rude.
It was rude.
Yes. It was disrespectful. I said I had a boundary and you kept pushing it. I mean, we don't need to do the same conversation several times. I just said that.
Well, I don't commit every single conversation on the show that I have to memory. I'd be interested to look back at it to see the truth of the matter. But anyways, we'll move on from that. Master Debater, thank you, man.
Master_Debater donated $100. Stonewall Jacqueline, if you can't take the heat, go back to the kitchen. Brian, don't let the strumpets gaslight you.
Who knows? Who knows? Thank you for the TTS, though. I do appreciate it. Okay, we already talked about what the men bring to the table thing. You said hookup culture has killed romance. When the priority becomes your roster or how many people you've slept with, which is an incredibly tacky question, by the way. You aren't interested in wowing someone. Making someone feel special and being romantic doesn't have to be expensive, and it's never something you should have to ask for. For a guy who really values you, he does it automatically. No matter how strong the girl is, she wants someone who wants to make her feel special. A lot of things people get excited about are the bare fucking minimum. The bar isn't hell from modern dating. Do you want to elaborate on that?
I think that pretty much said it. I think hookup culture in general has really kind of invalidated romance and has really done away with it. And I don't think people really try and pursue or wow or date people anymore. It seems very casual and hookup oriented, and it's just not how I work.
You said here, which is an incredibly tacky question, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mean the body count question?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it tacky?
I just don't think that's something that's appropriate to ask. I think on either end, I don't think a girl should ask a guy. I don't think a guy should ask a girl.
Why is it tacky?
Because I find it to be
Don't you think that
tacky.
it could give some serious indicators as to the character of the person?
I think if you have to ask a question like that, you don't know the person very well, and you would know how they treat you. You would know how they are as a person. I don't think that question
But
is
if you're
like
looking
the
at it from a
be-all.
logical standpoint, right? If you're going to be with somebody for the rest of your life, or if that's what you're aiming to do, and you know that all of the statistical indicators point towards women with a lower body count being much more likely to have long marriages and not divorce their husbands, don't you think if that was a really key factor to that you'd investigate it?
I really don't think it's that important.
Yeah, not for you maybe, but can you understand why it would be important for a
I
guy?
see why in general it's important. I also don't want a man that's been with a million women. I think it's gross in general either way. If somebody has been like super hypersexually active with either sex, but that's just my opinion.
I think you should ask a girl her body count before you even meet her. And I don't think it's tacky at all. You can ask it on the first date.
I'll
Not
allude
tacky at all.
to it on the first date, yeah.
I mean, she also don't have to tell you. Like, she could be like,
yeah,
"Oh,
they could lie.
she could be
Well,
like,
they shouldn't
she
lie.
told
Lie
us
all
her
the
body
time.
counts too. She could have slept with 15 people for all we know, and she's telling us it's two.
Sure,
We don't
she could
know
be
that.
lying. We don't
Yeah.
know. We
And it's like,
don't know.
so
But if you're going to be lying at the start like that, I think there will be indicators as to the person's character. Like, they're lying about something significant like that,
but how
then
would you
that lie
know?
will grow, and there'll be much worse lies.
How would you know?
Because I think what I'm
Sure.
saying though is that, like, that's an indicator, and then if they're dishonest about that, they're going to be dishonest about other big
But
things
how
as
would you
well.
know unless you
Because what I'm
actually
saying
grew
is
up
that
with this person?
If you're with somebody who's like a compulsive liar, eventually you start to put the pieces together, and you start to realize, oh, this person, this doesn't add up, this doesn't add up, and then you'll put the pieces together and realize, oh, this person's just a liar. I've known a few of these people in my life, and they can actually fool you for a little while, but then eventually they just run out of steam. And normally these people have to bounce from relationship to relationship. So if there are big lies from the start, there are going to be more big lies. If you're coming in with a dishonest slate, then there's going to be more lies, and you'll notice for sure. And generally as well, you can tell by the way that she is. You can assess her past as well, and some of her characteristics now. And then also, if you get to the freaky stuff, you can tell then as well. You can really tell.
Because of why? Because of the vagina?
Well, that can be a factor, but also because of the experience level.
What
as
if
well.
they had a lot of experience with that one person? What if that one person was like, hey, look at this porn. This is how I want you to give me head. Hey, look at how she's throwing it back here. That's how I want you to do it. Or what if, like, you sat there and taught your person exactly how you like it, and then now they're on to someone else?
Well, if they'd had long-term relationship in the past, then that would be a positive indicator that they haven't had lots of sexual experience. So that would contribute to it. But if they're like, I've been single for so long, I've only slept with like 2 guys or whatever, and then you get it and they're throwing it back and hawk touring it, then, you'd ask some questions. But there are indicators. You're never
Okay,
going
that
to know. If
makes
somebody's
sense.
lying, they can get away with it. But there are indicators.
So guys don't like girls that that are good in bed?
Look, there are going to be, like, guys are going to like having sex with girls who are good in bed, right? That's always going to happen. If a girl, like, there are going to be guys who want to have sex with porn stars because of because of the pure sexual experience. But when it comes to who you're looking for long term, then no, I've got absolutely zero problem with teaching someone, and even with if I had to wait until to get married for her to have sex, I'd have no problem with that.
I think, look, ask it before you even meet up with her. You meet her on a dating app, what's her body count? Fuck it. I don't think it's tacky, though.
I would. Like, if somebody
think-
asked me that, I wouldn't find that. I
But-
wouldn't want to date somebody
So
like that.
here's the thing.
And I
wouldn't
don't
wanna date
even
someone
have a
who
high
didn't
one. I
wanna
just don't
answer
think
that
it's
question.
respectful.
I feel like
It's not
it-
respectful.
It weeds
I
out.
don't think it's respectful,
I
personally.
mean, but hold on, just to be clear, you want a guy to pay for the first date, right?
yeah.
Okay.
If he's asking me on a date,
So, but because the guy's trying to assess a numerical number when it comes to your sexual history. You, by wanting a guy to pay for the first date, are assessing him on a numerical number. His money.
But you're also assessing him on his masculine virtue as well.
yeah.
And he's going to assess you on your feminine
If it's
virtue.
like a walk through the park kind of thing, it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be him paying. But I'm saying if he's the one initiating the date, I want
You
him
don't
to
initiate,
take.
but you don't initiate dates.
Right. I wouldn't because
but-
I want somebody who.
But it's the sentiment, though. It's the sentiment of you wanting that sort of masculine virtue out of him.
Right.
And as a man, he will have certain things that he cares about, and that might be just one of them.
Right.
But
I would
guess
find that like respect for me is the biggest thing. And you might not agree with this, but I feel like that's a disrespectful question to ask a stranger.
No.
Right. But I'm saying to me that would be disrespectful, so I wouldn't be interested in that kind of person.
I mean, sure, you can
Yeah.
have that standard. I think it would actually point to, though, like a guy who doesn't care about this, or maybe painted better. So a lot of guys will care about body count, but some of them, they'll still sleep with a girl with a high body count just because they want to hit. So as a woman, if a guy is showing that sort of curiosity about your sexual history, this could be used by you as an indicator that he actually sees long-term potential in you. He's not just trying to hit it. If he's asking these sort of qualifying or disqualifying questions, he's actually like, because dude, if a guy's just trying to fuck you, he doesn't care.
That's a really good point.
If a guy's just trying to sleep with you, he's not going to ask. He's not going to care. But if he starts asking you about your values, if he's asking you about like your body count, if he's asking you about these things that maybe you find offensive, like, oh, why does that matter? He's looking at you like, I'm assessing this girl like to date her. I want her to be my girlfriend. I want her to be my wife. So, I mean, you can look at it that way. I personally think when it comes to body count, it remains a perfectly acceptable metric and standard by which relationship-minded men can and frankly should be disqualifying women on. Sorry, that was weird.
I think
There's
that
a period.
like if a guy isn't concerned about that, that should be more of a concern for you, because like Brian said, he's not looking at that sort of like feminine virtue that would see you as a long-term partner. But if he's looking at you and not caring, or if he's even more just wondering, are you seeing anybody else right now? That is an indicator that he's looking for something temporary.
Okay, we're going to try to get through these last few things here as quick as possible. We have, let's see, one sec, notes here. 3 C's. You said something about the 3 C's. Tell us what the 3 C's are.
I think consideration, communication, and consistency are like the 3 major things in a relationship that can determine longevity. Because if someone's considering you in their actions, if they're being communicative consistently, and they're providing like the same level of effort and consistency for you, then they're not like introducing you to a vibe they can't maintain. And I think that's showing you a lot of respect, and that's major.
I don't know, man. That sounds like a lot of work.
Relationships are a lot of work.
That is true. One chat here, then we're going to get into these notes real quick. Thank you, OJ Simpson. He's got something for the Clippers, lady.
This is why nobody likes the Clippers.
Oh, wait, that's you. My
Lake Show all day, baby.
Lake Show. Oh, Lakers. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's get into this. Starting with Natasha. What would you want the minimum yearly income to be for your future husband?
Like 150K.
Okay. What about you?
I said he just gotta make like, I don't know, something equal or more than me.
Okay. What about you?
100K.
Okay.
200,000.
Not dollars.
200. Yeah, 200K.
How much do you make?
Hopefully more than him.
What do you mean, hopefully more than you?
I would like a man that makes less money than me, because I feel like that would even out the whole, thing.
Wait, you want a guy who makes less than you? So you make more than 200K? What do you do for work?
Not now. I mean, in the near future.
But
Like,
I mean, you're 35. What?
yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay. All right. Let's see. What about you?
Probably 70 to 80K.
Okay.
At least 60.
Darkavia?
80K.
All right. You guys want some decently high earning men there? A couple of you with the 6 figures. 200K though.
But 80K is not as much anymore. Like, everything is
That's
high.
true. It's not as much as inflation.
200 is like 100 now.
Rent's high.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. How tall are you, and what's the minimum height of a man you would date?
Absolutely not.
Huh?
I was reading the comment.
Oh, you can just ignore that. How tall are you, and what's the minimum height of a man you would date?
I'm 5'4", and it really doesn't matter.
Doesn't
to
matter.
me.
What about you?
5'7", it don't matter.
What about you?
I'm 5'2", and my minimum is 5'6".
That's fair. Okay. What about you?
5'6", minimum 5'8".
Okay. What about you?
I'm 5'2", minimum 5'4".
Okay.
I'm 5'2", 5'10", minimum.
You were at 5'11" here, but okay.
5'4". I would probably say minimum is 5'5" and above.
All right. Would you rather cross paths with a man or a bear in the forest?
A
Go ahead.
bear every freaking time.
Every time. Okay.
Every time.
I said man.
Man?
Yeah, I said man.
And
Man.
Bear.
Uh-oh.
Man.
So bear. Why do you pick bear? Why don't you pick man?
Why wouldn't I pick man? Because I think what a man would do to you in a forest when nobody's watching is worse than what a bear would do.
What
The
do you
bear
think
would do it
a bear
quickly.
would do to you?
If the bear's going to kill you, it's going to be quick.
No, they just eat you alive.
They're gonna rip your skin off and rip your face off and put their teeth
Better than
around your
dealing
neck
with the
and-
trauma that what a man would do to you in the forest
So
alone
you
would
think
do.
that if you just selected a random man in the population, just plunked one out, you think that he would kill you?
Not necessarily kill
Essay.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Why do you pick bear? Why don't you pick man?
'Cause a bear won't sexually.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So because you guys are factoring in, like, yes, the man the bear could kill you, the man could kill you, but the bear's not going to SA you. The man could SA you. You guys are obviously doing like a risk assessment.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just ask you both a question. You don't think every man could do this, right?
No, but
Right.
I also don't think every bear is going to go after you
Sure.
if you're not bothering them and they're not hungry.
But so you don't think it's every man. What percentage of men do you think would do this then?
Both things, or at least
Just
one?
just the essay. How about that?
Half.
Okay, 50%.
20 to 30%.
20, 30%. Okay.
I think there's a lot of men that might do something like that if they aren't thinking they're going to suffer the consequences for it and somebody wouldn't know. I don't think it's
Okay.
all men, but I do think that.
But 50%. 50%. Okay, so 50% of the male population in the United States, you think? Okay. Do you have
Obviously
any brothers?
not including children, you know?
Yeah, just adult males. We'll exclude like under 18.
Geriatric and children, yeah.
Do you have any brothers?
I have a half brother and a step brother.
2 brothers.
I mean, neither one is full blood
Well,
and neither one I lived with.
But you
so,
call
I mean,
them brothers. 2 brothers.
Not really, no.
Well, half brother.
Yeah, I
step-
wouldn't
okay.
call, yeah. I'm the only child.
Okay. You have a dad?
No, not anymore.
Okay. Grandparents?
Yeah,
Male cousins? Male friends?
grandpa, yeah.
Okay. Your 2 brothers, so one of them is an SAer.
I'm not saying it has to be from my family, but I think statistically across the U.S., at least half of the guys would not,
Including like your male family members.
Yeah, I don't think any of them would do it, but yeah, obviously that would include the general male population.
Okay. 50% is quite a lot. It's half the male population. Don't you? So you must have a pretty negative view towards men then, if you think 50% of them, maybe
Towards
a majority.
some men.
Well,
50
not
is not
just-
majority. 50 is half.
Well, it's half. Half of men, 1 out of 2. You must have very negative attitudes towards half of men then.
No, it's a bell. It's everything's a bell.
Do you think
curve.
that they would SA you? It's a pretty
Half of men, yeah.
it's a pretty egregious thing to do.
There's a lot of men in jail for that. There's a lot of men in jail or not in jail for that. I think that is a problem.
But I mean, not half of men are not in jail.
Wait, that doesn't mean they got caught.
And half of men haven't
there's
engaged
still
in that sort of
SA
activity.
without rape. I mean, there's still
Sure.
levels of that, and I still think that that is safer than a random bear in a forest who might not even be hungry.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Last weekend I was hiking in the woods and I came across a man and he just walked right past me.
Thank you
Very
for
likely.
sharing that
That's cool.
that example. I do appreciate it. Who said bears do not? They're capable.
I was about to say if the bear
of
was
this
feeling fruit, maybe if it was
frisky.
mating season. If it was mating season.
I chose
Wow.
a man because even if he tries to like SA me or kill me, I think I can take him over a bear.
I think you could probably take a man.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I'll wait for him to go to sleep and then
What the fuck?
do stuff.
Yeah.
Hold on, we have a message coming in here.
N7's Voss donated $100.
Thank you, Voss.
Someone in chat said it, but I will repeat it here. I bet 50% of men won't even approach a girl.
Yeah, man. That's I think that 50%. That's a high number.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's a high number. You're throwing a lot of men under the bus.
Do you think
You'd
my
be
numbers
surprised, though.
I think it's just like a
I think you guys have a very different view of how safe a woman feels around men than
Well-
how women feel around men.
I don't really feel too safe around bears though. That's the thing, and I think it's just total bullshit. Like if you were in the forest and then you saw you saw some hungry bear, grizzly bear, and the shit that bear could do to you, and then you saw Gavin, and you're like, who do I want to be trapped in this forest with? You're taking Gavin. You're not taking the bear, but you can say you'll take the bear. That's fine.
Do you have that meme, Damien?
I
The
really
bear
stand by
meme?
my answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
I'd rather die.
I mean, the statistics don't reflect that this is the actual risk that a woman has, though. I mean, even the greatly skewed numbers from some of these organizations, like the 1 in 4, that would put it at 25%, right? But if you look at like actual crime statistics, FBI, DOJ, the actual like incidence rate of this is like fairly low.
The girls at the table, have you ever felt unsafe with a man to the point where you felt your safety
Hold
was
on.
jeopardized?
How you feel doesn't mean that the guy's gonna SA you. Like, I
Right,
get
but
you can
it's
feel
how safe you would feel in a forest unsupervised with a man. That is also a feeling.
but just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean that that thing that you fear is gonna happen.
The bear might also not bother you.
I agree. It might not. The man could be totally benevolent, and if you're lost in the forest, what do you think is more likely? If you're lost in the forest, do you think a man's going to be benevolent? Like, you go up to him and ask him for help. Do you think he's just going to start essaying you, or do you think he's going to help you? Like, what's more likely?
I don't trust a random man in a forest. That is my stance. I mean, like,
So-
have you guys ever felt unsafe with a man to the point of your safety feeling jeopardized? At least once in your life.
I don't disagree. I bet every single woman here has
all
felt
the time.
unsafe around
All
a
the
man.
time.
I don't dispute that at all.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Okay, so sometimes they make you feel safe before they SA you. So it's like
That part.
The funny
Right.
part is that actually men actually have such a stronger inclination to protect a random woman than they do to SA them. So all of these, like, you can make a face about it if you want. But I was in Colombia a few weeks ago, and I was at a random gym in like an outdoor gym in Medellin, and we saw this guy sprinting and this lady running behind him, like yelping because he just sort of stolen something from her. And literally, there was 30 men around who literally clicked into gear and chased this dude around, captured him. It's all on my Instagram story. I filmed it, by the way. And they got him, and then they got the girl's thing back, and they were walking the girl back to the gym and back home. Like, that is the natural inclination that men have. And I'm sorry that you have this like horrible view of men, but it's just simply
It's
not
all
true.
men.
No, this is like what you said is like a horrendous view of men. You would rather be dropped in the forest with a bear than a
Wild
man.
animal.
And you think that 50% of men are likely to do that to you. You just don't understand men, clearly. But like most men would
Just
just.
because I don't agree with your opinion doesn't make it wrong.
I'm saying that you're wrong. That's my opinion. So,
I mean,
but yeah,
she
you
said
just
the same thing.
you just don't really understand.
What is like
the
the
way that men
hyper
are.
focus? There are other people who agree.
Why do you get so snarky about everything? We're just having a conversation. Why can't you just have a conversation? It's always going to be like making a face, or it's going to be like laboring your answers and stuff. Like it's just annoying. Anyway, we'll like we don't have to.
I think
Well, if you're berating me constantly,
I'm not berating you. We're having a
are,
conversation. Like it's like you've never heard like a contrary opinion in your life.
Not at all. There were
That's
several
what it's
contrary
like.
opinions that we didn't agree on that I said, oh, I see your viewpoint. But when you're being
But like it's
rude,
been constant all night. I'm telling you, from my perspective,
Here.
having talked to you all night, it's like constant faces
ask
and
a
just
question?
laboring.
hold on, Darkavia. So you asked a question. You asked, why are we kind of focusing on you? Milena did pick bear. You're 100% right. She picked bear. She said, what, 20 to 30%? Typically, when you're having like a disagreement with somebody, you're going to tend to like want to have that disagreement with the person who takes a more hardline position. In this case, you said 50%. It seems like you have a bit more of a hard line, you have a stronger position on this than Milena. And also Milena's also been Milena's been on the show before, and we've already kind
argued
of
about this
had
topic
like the
last
debate
time.
with her. So like that's kind of why it's been a bit more focused on you, specifically related to the bear question. So I mean that's an explanation to your answer, but look, I don't really want to linger on the bear thing for too long. Just how about this? A couple clarifying things. If it was 10 men versus 10 bears, does that change anything?
Yes.
yeah,
Like, would you prefer the 10 men then?
yeah, because I think when there are people with each other, you have more of a responsibility to act accordingly to social standards. I think when men are alone, sometimes that's
Sure.
where the problem
But if there's
can
10
arise.
men, and if they're 50% disposed to SAing you and 50% not, how do you
I
know that 50% of them
I
aren't just going
still
to
don't
overrule the
think
rest of
that-
the guys?
I still don't think that they're going to take the chance to do something that's inappropriate when there's other witnesses.
So-
Whereas somebody alone
So
in
you
the
trust
forest would.
the benevolence of the men?
I
then?
trust the group.
Okay.
Like there's a distribution of responsibility.
Oh, do you want kids?
Yeah.
Do you know how many kids you want?
Preferably 3.
3 kids.
Mhm.
If you have 3 sons,
Mm-hmm.
you're prepared to take the position that 1 or even 2 of them are SAers.
I
Your
didn't
own-
say it's
your
all
own
men.
sons.
Some men are
No, but you
great.
said No, but you said 50%.
It doesn't have to include my family.
Well, statistically, it would have to include your family. So
There's
you would.
also thousands of people in the United States that would factor into that. So,
Well, but I mean, if we're looking statistically at 50%, like.
do you want me to say 40? Does that make you feel better? Like,
Okay, so one of them, 1.25. I mean,
that's just my stance. I don't.
No, that's fine.
I think when men are alone, they do things that are not appropriate.
I know that. Sure,
A
that's
lot of times
sure.
relatives
And
do.
when
But-
they're
hold
together
on.
too.
I was
Hold
gonna say
on, hold on.
relatives do essay.
What's
like,
that?
I said a lot of times relatives do essay people, so you do have to
Sure.
factor.
That's the
But I
highest
just want to be clear,
percentage.
Yeah.
when you're raising, if you have 3 sons, when you're raising your 3 sons, you're going to be raising them and thinking of them as like future rapists. Like that's your view of your sons.
No, because I know the things that I'm instilling in them. That doesn't go for the entire general population. They didn't have the same upbringing. They don't have the same family values. That's totally different. Everybody has a different experience.
So you'll be the statistical outlier then when it comes to your.
Sure.
Okay. All right. If that's your position. Here, what about wait, if we change this question to, instead of it being a man, like, do you think your position is sexist?
No.
No, it's not. If we were to change it to, instead of a man or a bear, it's a black person or a bear, and the person picks bear, are they racist?
No. You're saying as like a follow-up or like just in general? That's the first question.
Yeah, so if we change the question to just be, would you rather cross paths with a black person or a bear in the forest, and they pick bear instead of black person, would that be racist? No?
Depends
It would
who's
be
picking it. It depends.
I think it would be
chance.
racist.
There's a
I'm not gonna lie. If a white
50% chance it would
person
be a
said it,
woman.
it's racist.
Huh?
But
Is there a
Like a black woman
50%
would
chance it
make
would
me
be a
feel safe.
woman?
yeah.
No,
That's what I'm
let's
saying.
say a black man. So if it was a black man or a bear, what would you choose?
It's still
Still
a
the
man.
bear,
A black
he's
man is
still a
still a
man.
man.
So you think she's racist?
No, because like she just said it before. I don't know if y'all heard it, but she said like if it was a black woman there, then she would still feel safe. So I think it's more of a sexist thing, not a racism thing.
How about if a white man picks the bear?
Yeah, that's racist.
Oh. Oh.
Why?
Wait, hold on.
Unless you said
But-
like what she just said.
So here's the scenario. You've had bad experiences with men. 100% believe it. I'm sure most of you women here have had bad experiences, maybe awful, terrible experiences. Let's say though, a white person has had 1, 2, and 3 terrible experiences with a or multiple black people, and
Well,
then
that's
they
different.
see on the news reports about these crimes that black people, I'm not saying this is the case, but just this is the hypothetical scenario, that these black people are committing. They're part of online groups. They have the TikTok algorithm, which they watch all these videos on TikTok, and the algorithm keeps feeding them stories about black on white crime. Because of their safety concerns, they're scared of black people. They believe all black people have the potential or capacity for violence or assault of some kind. Would this person be racist?
I think
To the point that instead of coming across a black person in the woods, they come across a giant wild animal.
Well, I think honestly, they're being fed a certain image of black people, or if they had the experience, like how you said, they went like one right after the other, and they had bad
They
experience
just
with
had
black
2,
people.
let's say 2 or 3 bad
Like,
experiences.
I mean, that's their personal experience.
Are they
and stuff.
racist though?
If they think that every black person is gonna be like that just because
They
they're
think-
black,
Let's say
then
it's
yes,
50.
that's
They
being
think
racist.
50% of black people.
if they're saying like 50, I think 50% of black people might act like this because their experience is this, then it's not. I don't think it's racist.
You don't think it's racist?
I think they're looking at it like as a experience, like a personal view. They're not saying that, like, for instance, if they met her and then they met me and they're like, oh, both you guys are, black girls or whatever, so how she acts might not be like how I act, or vice versa.
People are individuals, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like,
Okay. So it's not racist. Is it? Do you think that would be racist, the scenario I provided? Me personally, I think that would be racist, because the ultimate minority is the individual. Okay, that's going to fall on deaf ears. Never mind.
I agree
About what?
that it's racist. And I think my opinion's sexist, but I can say that with my chest.
Like, here,
That's
how
what I
about-
said
let
when
me-
he gave it the example of like just based off the person being black that you're scared. Then okay,
How about this?
that's racist.
Let me like, would you, if you guys could, like, would you prefer to be like on a subway, like just with other women at night?
Like as opposed to other men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
then, because of a white person's bad experiences with black people, they would prefer to just have like a white segregated subway. Would you guys?
That's
How
actually
is that not racist?
No, that is,
It's
you didn't
racist.
say it like
You
that though.
didn't
You
say it like
said
that.
you said that if they were in a forest by themselves, like they're alone by themselves, and they're actually genuinely like deathly scared of this black person, like, oh, this black person, if I'm here with them, they're gonna kill me, like they do on the news and stuff. Like they're genuinely scared of them the same way somebody is scared of the bear. That's different. But if they're like, oh, because you're black, I don't want to be in this thing with you because you're just a different skin color, that's being racist. Like you never came across
Okay.
nobody black that did anything wrong to you.
Final question on this. A white person wants to live in a white-only dormitory in college. Is that racist?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
I think
yeah.
having the dormitory. at
I
all
was
is
gonna say I don't
racist.
think it's the white person wanting to be there because that's
Okay.
common. It's the fact that you have a dormitory just for white people. That's where it's
racist.
segregation. Like,
You got HBCUs here as well, didn't you?
but white people could go to
Yeah, they-
HBCUs.
Yeah, white
Yeah.
people can.
But it's
Any race
technically
can go
like
to
a form
HB.
of sort
It-
of segregation, though, isn't it?
No,
And you do
actually,
get black-only
no, it's
dormitories in
not
the
a form
country.
of segregation because everyone is welcome if you apply to go there. The only difference is it's emphasizing on black excellence.
Do you think
It's
that if we had
emphasizing on
a,
the
would it be
history.
racist to have a historically white university where
If
we're
black people could
emphasizing
go
white?
there, no.
we're
Because that's
emphasi-
the thing.
How
White
do you
people
think? How
could
do you
go
think
there.
that mainstream society would see that if we had a historically white university?
We
that
do
that-
They're all
have those-
historically
those-
white
yeah,
No, no,
they're
hold on a
what-
second. But that's wait till I finish
What
my
is
sentence. Wait
Harvard?
till I finish my sentence, and then we can
Well, you
you
cut
can
off
jump
my
you can jump right
sentence,
in.
so.
You can jump right in. So, if it's a historically white university and they were celebrating white excellence, what
That-
do you think that society would think that that's a good thing?
That's not what Princeton and Harvard and those Ivy League schools do.
No.
That is what they do.
They do
It's
that.
Show me-
Very,
show me
it's
where it
very
says that.
hard
Energy
for minorities to
donated
get in there.
$100.
Just one sec.
Speaking for all men.
Yo, Big
In the
Sass,
woods
thank you, man.
Scenario, I know for a fact most all men would find a higher call to duty to get the woman out of the woods in this scenario. No man would think of essing you.
Well, let's be fair. There's
No, man.
I'm
some men
glad
would,
that that's
like,
the
some
men
men
you
would.
surround yourself
I mean,
with.
it's been like 10 years ago, men started asking for consent just because
Oh
of the
my
Me Too
God.
movement.
Oh my
Before that, it was like, bend over. Come on.
Also,
Even in the
college
90s.
Did you want the guy to ask you for consent today?
Yes, I would like
Oh,
to
yeah?
always be asked for consent. Yeah, of course.
So what do you want him to say? Can I touch you here? Can I touch you here? Can I
Not like
take you
that,
closer?
but it's the same with you. Would you like? Well, maybe you would a woman to come and like touch you all over.
No,
without
but
you knowing her?
if you're in a situation where you're romantically involved with someone,
That's
no
different.
woman wants that. No woman wants some
Wait.
like dude to start saying, "Can I do this? Can I do this?" They want you to take.
She said
take the lead.
She was like, she hit the dude up to come and fuck her.
Yeah.
Is that not consent?
That is consent, but what I
So-
mean is, men haven't really taken in consideration women's anything. Like the whole bear thing, that's where it's coming from. It's like, oh, we rather because it's been so horrible. It's not because you guys have been so nice to us for like millions of years. It's been like pretty bad.
We've been nice to you guys for millions of years.
You have?
We have
Is that
millions.
why they passed that law where they can marry 9-year-old girls in Iraq now? Like,
we're not talking about those countries.
I
That's
mean,
that's a
it's
different
men.
culture.
That's a totally.
That's a different culture. We could have a different conversation.
So
about that.
American
totally
men
different.
never like essayed anybody or grape
not-
anyone.
And they didn't even
we're
give the
not.
right to
Hold on.
vote
We're
for a
not
while.
like crime denialists here. Yes,
Feels
these.
like it.
Yes, this crime is an awful crime. It should be punished to the fullest extent of the law.
And there would be some dudes who would see you in that forest and want to, but I think a much smaller percentage.
So what's the percentage for you guys? Like 20%?
No, not even close. I think it would be much less than that.
I would go off
I
of
would.
whatever like the FBI and the DOJ statistics are, like the incidence rate.
Right.
That's what I would go off of. I don't have it in front of me, but it's not 50%. It's not 20%. It's not 30%.
But put it this way: if I had a little sister, I wouldn't advise her to go walking in the woods alone.
Right.
In case.
We do have to move it on to the next